Hey guys, it is Monday, August the 8th, and this is Farmer John over here. We we have had a week of just absolute craziness with tomatoes. It has been an epic tomato season this year. The heat here in New Jersey created the most wonderful and sweet tomatoes that we could have ever wished for. And the thing is, we usually grow slicer tomatoes as a majority, but this year I'm guilty. I planted too many Roma tomatoes. Now, I planted them in a way that I wanted to have enough where I could make enough tomato gravy to last for a year. And I accomplished that last year. And I still have tomato gravy left over. And as I'm pulling the containers up from what I prepared last year and I actually packaged, I'm still finding packages marked from November 9th where I was still making tomato gravy from our Roma tomatoes. So this year all of my seedlings grew so beautifully that I didn't have the heart to thin them out. I said I'm going to plant every single tomato. I'm going to commit to processing every single tomato, and I will get it in the freezer. Well, right now I have well over 100 pounds of tomatoes on the table, and the videos that you've been seeing and the pictures over the last few weeks, that was many baskets ago. Since then, that basket has replicated itself over and over and over again, literally. And I'm exhausted. I'm making about 7 gallons of gravy every couple days. And I have, I don't know, after today, I have about 40 gallons of gravy in the freezer. That might be excessive, but we like gravy. We like pasta, and we like our pasta saucy. You know, that's just the way it is.
Those are delicious words you're going to be eating.
Yeah, so did you want to join the screen here so we can have
Sure.
one continuous video? This was a little impromptu, but we just went and we pulled some tomatoes that we could see from the kitchen window, and we wanted to just show you. We've been waiting and waiting for these guys to... I have to show you. Here's one. This is my pride and joy right now. This is a Hungarian Heart. Look at this tomato.
That's a big tomato.
This is so beautiful. None of the shoulders are cracked. And it's beautiful blush pink color right now. The cat facing didn't really go into anything crazy on this one. The fluting is just perfection. This color is amazing, and if I cut it right now, it will be this color through and through. Very meaty and very juicy, but if I let it sit on the counter, it will turn beautiful, dark, like red. I mean, just gorgeous. So I don't know if you can see on the scale or not, but the scale went off. So all right, so let's see. It shut itself off. It's teared out at 0. This is 1 pound 14 ounces.
That's a big tomato.
Another beauty. So, and this is an idea of how different they grow. Like this one is smooth. This is also a Hungarian Heart. Strange, this was growing very close to our Parks Whoppers. And I wonder, you know, any cross-pollination would have had to happen at the seed, but it's just interesting, you know, how some tomatoes grow different when they're next to like a different variety. This one here is 12.8 ounces, so almost a pound.
They're both big tomatoes, right?
Another one that we pulled here, beautiful. The only marks on it, it looks like something may have been, you know, some kind of bug was on there that will cause that marking. But the shoulders are beautiful. This mark up here is just a dried flower. That's a candy floss cosmos petal that was on there. It's just a beautiful pink color. That blossom, that is not any rot. That's just like a callus that happens where the blossom was. So this one here is 9.6 ounces. I'm saving the best of the Hungarian Hearts for last.
You need some
I
help.
need it. Oh,
She needs a forklift.
this. Okay, this.
Right, that one is huge.
No.
That's a big
Oh my
tomato.
gosh. So I shared one with my good friend who I know loves tomatoes, and she messaged me and said, Lee, those tomatoes were incredible. And I said, it is a Hungarian Heart heirloom tomato. And I explained that it's from an old variety of seed and that it hasn't been hybridized, and that it's just a traditional tomato. And one of the biggest compliments I could have ever gotten from a friend who ate one of my tomatoes was, it gave me a flashback from my childhood. It tasted like a real New Jersey tomato tasted that you really just can't get anymore. So, I mean, everyone is growing hybridized tomatoes. It makes sense because, you know, things like the Parks Whoppers, which we love so much, they're a hybrid, and every year they work to improve it. And they call it a Parks Whopper improved at this point. I think this year's tomato was processed from something that they may have brought in some type of a determinant tomato with it, because its growing habits were very interesting. So, but that's the Parks Whopper anyway. I
F1
tend
hybrid.
to do this. Yeah, the Parks Whopper is an F1
That's
hybrid.
an heirloom.
This is an heirloom grown from seed. This was bought from Baker's Creek Heirloom Seeds. And this is just, look, there's no cracking on the beautiful fluted shoulders.
Gorgeous.
It's got, those marks there are normal. This is the character of the tomato. It's what happens when the blossom turns in on itself and it starts to grow. So when you cut into this, sometimes these calluses are a little deep, but you just cut it away. And I'm sorry for, it looks like I have dirty fingernails, but guys,
Welcome
if you're,
to garden
if
life.
you're not a grower or a gardener, you may not get it. But I learned a long while ago to give up on worrying about the condition of my beautiful fingernails, which I've always grown beautiful long fingernails, but they're permanently stained at this point. You know, but this is the price I pay for that. So yeah, so I'm going to weigh this. Let's see what we have here. This is 1 pound, like 1 pound, 12 ounces almost. So it's just short of a 2 pound tomato. So, oh my gosh.
Do the math. If you were to go to the store and you were to buy,
An heirloom tomato is at least $4.99 a pound.
okay, so now we're talking about an almost 2 pound tomato, and you have that 4 times over here where you're buying all these tomatoes.
I mean, this right here is just absolutely gorgeous.
Nice tomatoes.
Now, there's a couple of other tomatoes that I randomly pulled. This is like a pocket harvest. You know, I go out and say, I'm not pulling anymore. The counters are full. So these here, I have a little pile over here. This was also grown from Baker's Creek Heirloom Seeds. And this is a San Marzano Lungo 2. This is a Roma Tomato. It is more of a pole tomato. They're supposed to be determinate, meaning that, you know, they only grow to a certain size. But this plant just keeps growing and literally vining. It is up on top of the trellis right now. It continues to grow. It has baby green tomatoes. It has flowers. It's not showing any signs of stopping. This Roma tomato is absolutely rich and thick inside. There's not a whole lot of juice, not a whole lot of seed. And it almost seems hollow when you open it. But when you roast this tomato, it is heaven. It is so thick and pasty. It is absolutely incredible.
Just talking about is making my mouth water.
Yeah, so today I had another massive roasting event. It's just incredible. These guys here are Martino's Roma, also grown from Baker's Creek Heirloom Seeds. And their website is rareseeds.com.
We'll link it below.
Yeah, and they've been, like, a majority of our seeds are from Baker's Creek. We just prefer them at this point. They ship for free. They have a lot of interesting, rare, truly rare varieties of things. I'm sorry, I'm always distracted by all the different birds flying around out here. This I grew last year, and for some reason it grew tiny. I'm trying to find another one that was more of an average size. But, you know, sometimes, you know, they're like this big. This year, a majority of them have been this big or bigger, and I planted them in a different spot. Incredible. I don't know how many bushels this would be equivalent to. I mean, we have, if I were to sell this crop that I grew this year, it would be, I don't know, a lot. I mean, each harvest is well over 100 pounds. I mean, we're dragging baskets and containers in. And there's been several harvests and hauls, tomato hauls.
Huge hauls.
So, you know, this is just, we're just showing you. This was, you know, we didn't have any plans on doing a video tonight, but these guys here, I'm telling you, cut them down the middle, and I like to cut them down the middle to make sure that sometimes the blossom turns in on itself down there, and you can't tell. You open it up and then it's black inside because something happens with the blossom. But my process is to slice every tomato down the middle. I wash them, let them dry, then slice them, turn them in some olive oil. I made a video for you guys before, and I like roasting them and then letting them cool and then slipping the skin off. Now, some people blanch them, where you just cut a little X in the bottom of the tomato and then you pop it in the boiling water for like 30 seconds, and then you pull it back out and the skin just comes right off. And then you have a whole tomato that you can process, and you can freeze them, or you can put them right into gravy from there. Some people I've seen on different gardening communities that we're involved in, they're just putting their tomatoes in big giant pots, and I see them with some kind of almost like a mashed potato thing, and I'm like, what are you doing? And that's something I would say I'm doing. What are you doing? But I just don't prefer to do it that way. This is a system that I've developed on my own with the roasting. It is a double processing. And then after I roast it, I let it marinate for a few days, and then I put it in my Vitamix. The Vitamix is a wonderful kitchen tool to have. It was very pricey, but I've had it for years and years and years, and it literally has a lawnmower-sized motor on it. I mean, the thing will chop down a tree.
2 horsepower.
Yeah,
it's really
it's
powerful.
incredible. So it aerates all the tomatoes and all the garlic and everything, and the herbs, and it just it creates this thick sauce, this gravy. And then I take it from there and I put it in the pot and I let it cook, and then I cool it down again, and then I bowl it up and I freeze it. So that's my process with that.
Food torture for me while I'm working from home. I just want to come down and start eating.
Yeah, the smell is incredible because you know, after after it goes in the Vitamix, and the process of cooking it in the pot now is that I will saute fresh chopped garlic in the bottom of the vat with a little bit of olive oil, and once it starts to bubble, I'll add red pepper flake and some sea salt, and then I'll take some of the Roma tomatoes without their juice, and I just put them at the bottom of the pot and I stir them around, and it gets really pasty. And then I add my blended portion, and I'll let that simmer until it all gets nice and hot. Then I add fresh basil that I grew here, fresh oregano that I grew here, some sea salt, and that's it. Once it cools down, I mean, that's the bulk of the ingredients, and it lasts for over a year in the freezer. So I buy bowls from Wegmans. You get 3 bowls for $3.19. They're freezer ready. So after it goes in the bowl, I make sure it's cool before I put it away. And I wrap the top in aluminum foil. I write the date on there and what it is, and then I slip the whole bowl inside of a freezer bag, and it goes away for a year. And I'm telling you that today I had gravy that was fresh that I could have used. But I made pasta, and I had to take out a bowl from last year, though, because I have to eliminate last year's
rotation.
Yeah, so and literally I could not tell the difference between the flavor of last year's gravy to today's gravy. It was still that fresh. So this would be a fortune at the store to buy. I mean, you're not going to get organic gravy like this. So anyway, these guys here have been getting added into this year's gravy though, so it is going to taste a little different. And I'm not in the habit of really tasting the gravy as I cook it anymore.
I do.
We take a little sip here and there, but yeah, this is adding a little tiny bit of a different. It's making it very, very juicy. But for the most part, I've given several of these away. This is like a gift when you get an heirloom tomato like this handed to you, people. We had somebody, I won't say any names, but somebody who watches this knows the person, and they turn their nose up at our tomato. I'm not going to say who it is. Somebody will know, though.
They'll know.
They turned their nose up at my organic, and it was one of these big guys.
And if it was you, don't ask me. I have no poker face.
I'm like, they turned their nose up at my heirloom tomato that I grew from seed. But anyway, some people look a gift horse in the mouth and they just don't appreciate it. Once you've had tomatoes like this, though, guys, there's no turning back. When you make gravy from Roma tomatoes like this, there's no turning back. Now, the heat has been grueling. This has been an absolutely unbearable year for working in the garden. Between that, learning how to get along with the giant cicada killers, which we had to figure out. Today was the Nat Geo moment. I watched one catch a cicada and drag it up a tree and then drag it down into its hole, and I couldn't even believe what I was watching. They're crazy bugs. They're very intimidating, so we had that to deal with. But overall, the way we grew the garden this year with all the flowers back there, we didn't have a whole lot of pest pressure level bugs. The bugs that are back there are good, friendly bugs. So this was worth it. And again, you don't have to grow. I have like 51 tomato plants. I didn't intend to grow 51 tomato plants this year. They're my babies. It just happened that way. But you know what? I made the commitment. I'm going to process every tomato, and I have. I've given away very few tomatoes this year. Not because I'm greedy, not because I don't want to share, but look, I've had this conversation a few times. It's very important. I grow this for us, for our household. It's our family. The birds love the organic pasta with organic sauce. I feel comfortable letting them have that. It's labor. It's our water. It's our time. It's our sweat. We eat these. If we give it away, it's not because we're trying to get rid of it. It's because either we love you or we think that, you would enjoy it. I'd rather have the person that turned down my beautiful heirloom tomato, I'm making a joke out of it, but I would rather have them say, no, I don't think I'm going to eat that. I have store-bought tomatoes that taste like disappointment, and I prefer that. But it's all good. It's all good. That tomato went to somebody else who fell like head over heels in love with it and totally enjoyed it. Now, I'd rather have you tell me, no, I won't eat that, or no, it's too much, or whatever, than take it and give it away to somebody else. Because I grow this for us and we will eat it.
And it's a rare occasion where I will actually offer those out to anybody.
Yeah.
Rare occasion. You're not going to get
gift.
these from us. This is something that we will process and we will make sure to eat. This is not something that we give away. One of the other things is these guys, this is groceries right from your backyard, guys. When we start talking about the poundage, talking about the cost of organic tomatoes, everything's going up. Yes, we put our sweat equity in it. Yes, we absolutely took and we worked out here. But you know what? That work is good for you. Being out in the sun is good for you. Being out here and being out in the garden is very peaceful. So, get out in the garden, grow your own. So, yeah, you might have a great neighbor that might give you some tomatoes, and some people just don't know how to process. We didn't know how to process. And honestly, I don't process them. I can't even take any credit. Lee does all the processing. But the reality is we process these tomatoes. They get processed. And of course I eat them. I do a bulk of the eating. But it's important to know how to process them. However you do that, you don't have to can. That's not all the answer. It's not the end all and be all. We freeze ours. There's a lot of different ways to do it. You can absolutely just take and cut. We're doing with cherry tomatoes this year. Taking them and freezing them. See what happens.
Yeah, we have some insane amount of cherry and grape tomatoes. I grew Chadwick cherry and Borghese grape tomato from seed, and as well as last year I did, and they were so tasty. But the Borghese grape tomato caramelizes down when it's roasted to this delicious tastiness, but it's more labor. It's tiny tomatoes to pull the skins off of. You've got so much time cutting so many tomatoes, where these guys, it's, a fraction of the work. Then this is more delicious. This Roma is terrific. I mean, terrific is not even a word to describe it. I mean, it's like that's an understatement. The deliciousness of this is, I've never had it in a restaurant. And I know how to make old world Italian gravy. Italian people taught me how to make gravy from old traditions. On Saturday morning with piles of chopped garlic, and the memories of the smells and learning how to do this, are incredible memories to me. However, these tomatoes are very expensive, and almost every Italian American that knows how to make a similar version, as we talk about how you make your gravy, is gravy or is it sauce? They make their gravy the same way, and it's usually with cans of Tuderosos or Cento plum tomatoes.
San Marzano.
And San Marzanos. And once you've had those tomatoes, I mean, they're not first class tomatoes. You don't know what they've been through, what process, when they get pulled off of the bushes, when they go through processing machines and they get weighed and handled and put into boxes and get shipped across the world. I mean, a good San Marzano tomato is coming from Italy. But we have a microclimate back here because we made it that way. We didn't buy this property like this. We made it this way. And I created this heat up back there with the rocks. And the tomatoes they just love it. So, going back to what I was trying to say, there's a lot to talk about with this. And I don't want to inundate, especially my friends who watch this. In a way I do. I want you to watch. There's people, there's family. My family's not even really commenting on my videos. And it's like, look, if you want to buy your food, go ahead and go to the restaurant. You have a big backyard. Even if you have a smaller backyard. I have one family member who grows stuff in pots, and she does a beautiful job growing stuff in pots, by the way.
Pots.
You can grow it in pots. And you don't have to grow 51 tomato plants, people. One San Marzano Roma tomato would be enough for you to have a huge harvest. You'd be able to make enough gravy for yourself for a year, or for a small family if you don't eat gravy, at least once a week. We did this in excess this year, without a doubt. I could fed several families back here with this. But, you can scale it down and give it a try. So I have another friend who was very proud to message me and say, we started a small garden this year. I'm still waiting to see pictures. I'm still waiting to see. Share with us, please. We want to know what you're growing. We're hoping to reach people here with this channel. And we want to inspire you to grow something. This can be whatever you want it to be. It can be tomatoes, it can be cucumbers, which is another thing. Like hundreds and hundreds, I'm not exaggerating, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cucumbers. And they hold really well if you put them away properly. So right now I'm eating cucumbers that I harvested more than a month ago at this point. They're crisp and delicious, and they're like 10 to 12 inch long cucumbers. Incredible, crunchy flavor that you can't imagine. But there's all sorts of stuff that you can grow. Now tomorrow I'm going to start from seed 2 varieties of broccoli, a cauliflower, and 2 varieties of Brussels sprouts, and get them started. Yeah. Some of them will mature in 48 days, and some of them will be up to 75 days. So once the cooler air starts to hit them, they'll get nice and sweet. They love the cool air. We're getting ready to sow carrot seeds. I'm going to have an incredible amount, I think 20 varieties of lettuce that's about to go into the ground. I cannot wait. I have 3 varieties of spinach. Plus some other greens that I'll be planting. All sorts of stuff is getting ready to go into the fall garden. Like, I cannot wait. So, so anyway, guys, I don't know if you saw that go by. There was one of our cicada killer friends. We realized that
couldn't
we
see
have
it
a
past
whole
my big
colony
head.
of them now. So it's a scary thing. But anyway, guys, listen. Grow something. We're in unprecedented times. Listen to the news. If you're watching the world news and you hear what's happening with stuff getting caught up in the Ukraine and Russia and how it's affecting the world, people are having hunger situations now. There's famine happening because you can't get food. You take it for granted what's on the produce shelves. You don't know where it comes from. When you say, go get a tomato, where is it from? Yeah, you bought it at Wegmans, but it's not from Wegmans. Your avocados, they travel halfway around the world to get to you. To grow an avocado is so much labor and resource and water. It takes gallons and gallons of water to grow one beautiful avocado. We eat mangoes every day. We depend on them from Brazil and South America all year long. The food chain is broken. There may come a time where we can't get avocados and mangoes, so we're going to have to work with what we have right here in our backyard. Now, I processed well over 100 ears of corn over the past week. I'm so happy to put the corn pod away. I put the corn pod away. It's done. I have 2 big bags of kernels that I cut down. And so I have bags of just kernels that I can make, the birds like corn, organic white corn. It's very sweet.
Fresh and organic,
fresh
right
and
from
organic.
our backyard. They love it.
I also blanched the whole cob, processed them, wrapped them up in plastic wrap in freezer bags. They're in the freezer. I have corn for a year. So I urge you to be aware of what's happening with the food chain and the fact that this is, for some people, low key, but it is a crisis. Whether you want to see it or not, you have to face the reality. You have to face the reality. We're in unprecedented times. And you should grow something. Learn to grow something, even if it's just in a pot. Something really delicious and tasty to get you started are shishito peppers or nata pena peppers. They love the heat. They are so delicious.
And prolific.
Prolific. And
They
you pull them
grow.
off, you throw them in a frying pan, and you saute them in just a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of sea salt. They're loaded with vitamin C.
So
they have
good.
micronutrients. There's capsaicin. It's good for your veins. It clears out your arteries. It gets away clogged arteries. I mean, these things are superfoods. The more colorful the food, the more superfood it is.
Eat from the colors of the rainbow. So important.
So, and a little bit of love and a little bit of resources, and you get this, guys. So anyway, the moon is rising and the sun has set, and, we have just become a meal for some mosquitoes out here. But anyway, I hope you're watching the videos, guys. Please subscribe. And by the way, all this chatting, if you're just rolling up on us now, my name is Lee, and this
I'm
is
John.
John. We're just 2 city kids. I grew up in Philly. John grew up in
from
Brooklyn. We had no exposure to being gardeners. When I was a kid, I had to wait for the huckster to come around. My mom would freak out, the huckster, and they would bring farmed fresh food to us in the city, and you couldn't handpick. It was in a brown bag, and you got what they were selling for whatever amount it was. You couldn't inspect it, and that was what you got. So we waited for that every year. And right now, when I think about my mom and how much she would have loved the opportunity to come back here and stroll through our garden, she would have loved it. And, we want to reach people and spread the message that it doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter where you are. You can be a grower. You can learn to self-sustain and be self-sufficient.
Do it for yourself.
Do it for
your
yourself.
family.
Do it for yourself. It all starts somewhere. So, all right, guys. Anyway, we'll be
And
signing
don't forget
out.
to grow something beautiful.
Don't forget to grow something beautiful. And hey, if you stayed with us this long, don't forget to subscribe. Please hit the like button and the notification bell. We're trying to grow as a channel, so we want we're trying to get a backing of people who are interested in what it is that we're doing and why we're doing it, and that we're just 2 people growing some food. So anyway, guys,
Trying to eat healthy.
try
Trying
to
to
eat
be
healthy.
healthy.
So Anyway,
we have more
guys,
stories about that too.
we have tons of stories. So thanks for watching the video, guys. We hope you stayed with it. We hope you check it out. We hope you'll consider growing something. It's not too late because now is the beginning. It's time for the fall garden. Yay. So anyway, all right, guys, we'll see you in the next video.
Thanks for spending time.